In this video, I'm going to talk about the basics of adding chemicals to the spa and the pool and what to do if the readings are wrong when you do your pool chemical checks. First, the reason why a pool operator does a chemical check every 4 hours is because the chemical feeders and sensors are not an exact science. The chemical feeders should only be used as a secondary means of ensuring the readings are correct, as the true and main test is the test kit. And if there is a problem with any of the sensors, you can adjust them as needed. The feeders obviously control the amount of chlorine and muriatic acid that go into the pool, but they have to be monitored and adjusted when there are issues. One which may occur every day or two, and if you do not catch it, you could lose the pool and it could become unbalanced very quickly, at which point you may have to shut it down, remove and add fresh water. But if you catch it early enough, all you have to do is add the right chemicals that you will need to solve the problem. For example, our pool uses chlorine disinfectant. In this example, you can see that the chlorine should be between 1 to 10 parts per million. I like to keep it about mid-range between 3 and 5, which ensures a more concentrated disinfectant to kill bacteria. It says in the diagram here to add chlorine to make free available chlorine between 1 and 10 parts per million. However, if your chloramines are too high, it's a result of insufficient free chlorine and the pool has to be shocked. The pH is also important. It's the amount of muriatic acid that is in the pool. We also use sodium bicarbonate or baking soda to bring the pH and the alkalinity up to maintain it between 7.2 and 7.8 parts per million. So the test kit will measure the amount of free chlorine and total chlorine. It's important to know that the combined chlorine isn't an effective sanitizer. All you really have to know is that the free chlorine and the total chlorine should be close. The total chlorine should always be a bit higher than the free chlorine and should be within 1 parts per million. For example, if the free chlorine is 4.4 and the total chlorine is 5.3, it is 0.9, which is a little bit less than 1 parts per million, and you won't have to shock the pool to eliminate the chloramines. The higher the difference between the free chlorine and the total chlorine, the more shock you'll have to put in it. For example, if there is a 2 parts per million difference, instead of putting 16 ounces of Aqua Bright Plus in the pool, you may have to put 32 ounces. Also remember to ensure no one will be using the pool for about a half hour or so after you shock it, and the shocking will not have too much of effect on the pool right away, as it may take several hours. Our pool chemical supplier says that after you shock the pool with Aqua Bright Plus, it is safe to use the pool after a short time, as the shock does not affect people even if you have to put in a large amount. So after you put it in, the free chlorine level should increase and the gap between the free chlorine and the total chlorine should decrease. We also have a saltwater pool that electronically adds chlorine by the salt chlorine generator. Once the recommended level has been established, salt level maintenance is minimal. Salt is usually needed due to loss because of backwashing the filter, bathing suit drag out, water splash out, or leaks. There's no set time frame for when you need to add salt to your pool. Some pools can go weeks or even months before they need additional salt, because salt does not dissipate from your water. The only time you would add salt to your pool is when you add a significant amount of fresh water continuously, which would dissipate the salt, and you may find it hard to maintain the chlorine level. You must ensure the salt chlorine generators are turned off as well when you add salt for at least a half hour. The relief super will not have to worry about when to put salt in, as the full-time super will do it. The desired salt level can range anywhere from 2,700 to 4,500 parts per million. Over my many years of looking after pools, a couple of years as a maintenance manager for the largest YMCA in Canada and about 8 years working with this pool, I've noticed these things that may affect the pool chemistry. Number 1, the chlorine level may drop rapidly and the alkalinity will change if you have a large amount of people in the pool. Number 2, the pool may increase in chlorine when there are no people in the pool, especially when it's shut down at night. Number 3, you have to add baking soda on a daily basis or the pH and the alkalinity will be low. Number 4, when the alkalinity is low, you'll have to add a significant amount of baking soda to the pool, about 2 to 3 quarts. Number 5, when you add fresh water, the chlorine may vary depending on the amount of chlorine in the city water, which can sometimes be up to 4 parts per million. Number 6, once the chlorine starts dropping fairly quickly, then you know it's time to boost the chlorine generator for a few hours. Number 7, once you reach the desired level of chlorine, you may have to adjust the chlorine generators down 5 increments at a time so they do not add too much chlorine in the pool, especially at night when the pool is shut down. Number 8, if someone fouls the pool, you have to give it a significant shock, up to 10 parts per million, and close the pool for at least 1 hour, as recommended by the pool procedures and inspector. Number 9, if the pool gets a little milky or you see a lot of debris on the bottom, you may have an unbalanced pool and you will need to rectify the problem. If you have a problem you cannot solve, you can contact me or the pool chemical provider, and we can either come to help you or get you the right chemical that will help solve the issue. Number 10, the pool should be vacuumed when you see debris on the bottom of the pool, usually every other day, as it depends on the amount of people who are in the pool. Number 11, you should backwash the pool sand filter at least once a week. I usually do it every 4 or 5 days. For the most part, until the relief super is very comfortable with the pool equipment, I prefer to do it myself. The reason being, if a valve is left in the wrong position, you can ruin a pump or cause a leak in the sand filter head, which is a very expensive repair. Number 12, if the pH is too high in the pool and it reads different than the controller, then you'll have to calibrate the controller. Usually, a high reading will require you to calibrate it no more than 1 or 2 parts per million. You can also decrease the pH on the controller so it adds more acid as well. Number 13, if the pH or the alkalinity is too low, you will have to add baking soda. Usually, you will see that it starts to come up within 1/2 hour after you add it. So this completes the part of pool chemical maintenance. Next, I'll be talking about the spa. The one we have is currently Bromine, which operates basically on the same principles with a few exceptions, so it should not be so long. According to Google, the chemical bromine is very similar to chlorine in the way that it kills bacteria and harmful contaminants, but the two chemicals react in different ways in the swimming pool water. Bromine is most commonly used to sanitize spas and hot tubs because it is more stable than chlorine in warmer temperatures. A few things about the spa. Number 1, bromine has less odor than chlorine. Number 2, bromine retains its sanitizing efficiency. Number 3, bromine is easier on the skin. Number 4, bromine lasts longer in hot water. Number 5, the optimum bromine level is between 3 and 5 parts per million. Although, if you keep it at a lower level, when you have a high use period, it may drop quickly below the desired level. So I like to keep it around 5 to 7. The spa guidelines say it should be less than 10 parts per million. Number 6, pH should be between 7.2 and 7.8, and the alkalinity should be between 80 and 120. Although, if the alkalinity level is a bit higher, it does not cause any harm to the skin, as it is just baking soda that stabilizes the pH. Now I want to talk a little bit about the brominator. Number 1, the brominator solenoid is activated when the ORP on the controller sends the signal to open its valve to allow more bromine to enter the spa. When the solenoid is calling, it should be warm, and if it's not, then there could be a problem with it. Number 2, controlling bromine is not an exact science and has to be monitored closely at times because the concentration of bromine in the brominator depends on many things, some of which are how many bromine tablets are in the brominator. We use bromine pucks and they can last for several weeks in the brominator. However, the concentration of bromine may increase over time in the brominator. Therefore, when the valve opens, it may add a high concentration of bromine too quickly and the spa may go higher in bromine than expected. It also depends on how often it calls for bromine and the rate at which the flow of water goes through the brominator. So you may need to adjust the flow with the valve on the right hand side of the brominator if the readings start to go out of whack. Number 3, keep in mind that the controller that regulates the acid and bromine are low-end devices that need a lot of monitoring to function properly. Even at that rate, they are expensive and range around $2,000. Essentially, to get higher performance from these parts of the systems, you could get a better one and could pay upwards from $10,000 to $15,000 just for the controllers, which would give you extra features. However, we have to work with what we've got at the time. Even when the brominator is not calling, there is a little bit of feedback that may increase the bromine level in the spa. Sometimes the controller will shut down and stop bromine from entering the spa due to a safety feature, which does not allow much acid to be pumped into the spa. It will have to be reset, and you can do that by resetting the breaker or unplugging and plugging back in the controller. Many people complain that the brominator leaks no matter what they do. You can fix one small leak one day, and the next day another one will occur. Sometimes the ORP sensor will read the amount of bromine and ORP wrong. This may be a result of the sensor needing to be cleaned or replaced. ORP, meaning oxidation reduction potential, measures the oxidizing capacity in water. It is a proven measurement mandated for commercial pool sanitation. However, it often varies when you add fresh water or backwash the spa. You also have to add fresh water to the spa and pool daily. Clean the ring around the spa and ensure the water level is high enough in the spa and pool as well. Lastly, part of the pool maintenance is testing the communication system, the phone, checking the first aid kit, and ensuring the safety equipment is hung properly and in working condition. So that's it for the basics of pool and spa maintenance. I recommend that you go over the previous lesson on using the pool test kit as well. Bye for now.